Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of From the Field. I'm your host, Casey Orr, a solution architect based in Wellington, New Zealand. We're heading into summer, so we're heating up, and the northern hemisphere is going into hibernation, which is awesome. I haven't actually seen snow in a very long time, so I'm a bit envious of that. But then I don't have to actually wear layers and layers of thick clothing all the time. We do have our lovely partners down in New Zealand, Digital Island, joining us, and Anshul. So I am going to get you to introduce yourself, Anshul and Digital Island, and also, answer the two ice-breaking questions we normally have, which is, what is your first programming language, and what was your first major project?
Well, thank you, Casey. Hey guys, morning from out here in New Zealand. My name is Anshul, and I work for Digital Island. Digital Island is the leading service delivery partner for Amazon Connect, specializing in Amazon Connect contact centers and service delivery partner for the AWS or here in New Zealand. Um, well, that's a catchy question, Casey. So the first programming language was Python. And about the project, the major one, I think that this presentation will talk about it. It's one of the major and the biggest projects that I've delivered about Connect Symphony. So yeah,
Oh, so it's pretty new to the whole programming world of Python's your first language.
that is right. That's right. I started a bit of JavaScript and um, to put our hands on C++, C Sharp, and those things back in the days in the school. Uh, but yeah, that's pretty much it.
Then you get into the whole nitty-gritty arguments of is JavaScript really a programming language and all of that jazz. But
Yes,
then again, but then again
that's
was
right.
I started on VB, which is very much a legacy language these days. Um,
VB.
yeah, Visual Basics,
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah,
That's
I'm one of those .NET developers these days.
that's
Cool.
nice.
Do you want to give a quick overview of what we're going to be covering in today's session, and also what our viewers have to expect?
Sure, sure. So today we'll be covering about Amazon Connect deployments and how to automate them using pretty much CloudFormation or infrastructure as a code, event-driven architectures, and microservices. Um, and the best part is, so Digital Island is a managed services provider, right? And we deploy Amazon Connect Contact Center for our customers, whether it is small, medium, or enterprise customers. And we wanted some solution to automate it. And that's what we'll be covering in today's session. And we'll go deep down in the architecture view of it as well.
Nice, because I know for a long time, and this is probably going a number of years back, Connect was very manual in terms of its setup. There wasn't any APIs. It's all, click ops and driven by the frontline staff. So it's going to be quite exciting to see how that has changed and how it's embraced a more, programmatic ways of deployment, and to see
Oh,
how Digital
100%.
Islands approaches this.
Yep, I agree, Casey. And it's really interesting because it's really evolving, right? So I think so 2017 Connect came in and just has changed the contact center space so much. So it's really, really exciting future.
Cool. Do you want to jump into it?
Yep, let's quickly share. I'll
The old
share my screen.
sounds good. It's going to be a very intimate show at the moment. We don't have too many people watching right now, so that means that you get all of our mind share. So don't be shy. Ask some questions. Let us know where you're from and all of that jazz.
Perfect. So I'll just quickly open my notes, what I have to talk about. So say some good words about Casey. Thank Casey. Oh, no, okay, so I already did
Oh yeah,
that.
nah, just keep doing that. Just keep iterating on that circle. It's good for my ego.
That's good. Okay, let's get into it. Connect Symphony. So we'll talk about how we'll be fortifying, managing, and how we can automate the Amazon Connect deployments rather than the manual jazz of the deployments of Amazon Connect. Um, so let's get into it. Now, for the viewers, what is Amazon Connect? A bit overview of it. So it's a very interesting fact, and I got to know, just a couple of years ago about this, that it was Amazon Connect was developed by Amazon for their own contact center, which is really, really cool. And that's now being widely used, so that's really good part. It is 100% cloud-based omni-channel contact center, yeah, powered by AI/ML as well. The best thing is it is having, IVR chatbots and all the automation features built in out of the box. Plus, it's an open platform, so you can have multiple integrations into it. Maybe CRM integrations, Salesforce, or Zendesk, and whatnot. Right? It has some amazing agent productivity tools, such as step-by-step guides that has really, evolved and just come out. I really find it amazing. Um, Plus, you have some native integrations with Amazon Connect into the AWS environment with other resources like Lambda for doing some data dips and whatnot, and getting some information out for the customers. So yeah, it's really powerful contact center overall. I really love it. So that's a bit of overview of what Amazon Connect is. Right now, let's talk about what you can see on the screen is an organizational high-level diagram um, at Digital Island. So as you can see, this is our organization. On the left-hand side, you will see multiple customers account as Digital Island provides managed services to our customers for Amazon for managing the Amazon Connect contact centers. So on the left-hand side, these are your contact centers, and in their separate AWS accounts. And on the right-hand side is obviously your core OU organizational unit for your log archive and audit accounts there. Um, Now let's understand the why bit, why we thought about a methodology of Connect Symphony, and we'll go down deep on what is Connect Symphony and the things. But it's good to understand how we came up with this idea. So the why bit. So we wanted something because now we are managing the customers in scale. There are multiple customers we have, ranging from small, medium, and large customers. So we wanted the automation of deployment process to be as soon or as quickly as possible. So we wanted some automation around that. We wanted these automations to be streamlined and consistent because there are a lot of services, as you know, Casey, there's so many services at the back end of AWS that are being, involved in Amazon Connect deployments as well. So we wanted the deployments to be streamlined and consistent. We wanted, obviously, to save some time during the deployments. The cost efficiency, the cost was a big factor as well, like how much cost can be leveraged on saving. Um, the problem was we wanted a framework which can scale up or scale down. Does not really matters how big is the contact center, whether it is a 10-seater contact center or 100-seater contact center. The deployment process should be scalable. Um, we wanted it to be secure and compliant. That's no compromise over there. So we wanted that to be there as well. We wanted some alerting in place. So for example, think about this. You have your health events always popping up in your personal health dashboard. We wanted those events to be passed out to our engineers for the customers whom we are managing, so that can be they can be alerted in near real time and get updates as soon as something goes wrong with the contact centers. So some proactive alerting as well. And the final bit was, let's think this way. A voice engineer back in, I mean, if you know, Casey, about this, so I come from the background of voice engineering, or UC, CCAS, UCAS kind of space. So as a voice engineer, what I'm really working on is on the SIP ladders, or some RFC protocols, or audio issues and whatnot, right? Now suddenly we are dealing in the cloud space with multiple resources. which let's say example storage S3, or let's say we are talking about Kinesis streams, we are talking about the Lambda functions and whatnot, right? Now, as a voice engineer, if I'm developing customers contact center, now I'm also dealing with all these other resources, and my focus is split between the resources, and plus I want to make sure that the customer's journey of the call center, how they are driven through to the agent, I want to manage that as well. So we wanted something like our voice engineers should be focused on creating a great customer journey for the callers. And so that's where we were like, okay, how can we manage that part as well in a bit better way? So these were all our, sorry, you were saying something?
I was gonna ask, like, so voice engineering is about the use, like the flow of someone through the contact flows, essentially, like, making sure they get the best customer experience.
That is right. Like the customer journey, right? Exactly. What do you want? When a customer calls in, do you want to gather the input via voice, or do you want to gather the input via DTMF? And how the call will route to the agent in a quickest manner, right? So that's the main
What is
primary focus.
what is DTMF?
So it's kind of in simple layman's term. Let's think this way. So when you press 1, 2, 3, and 4, beep, 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 when you call the contact center, one for sales, two for support and whatnot, right? So that's your dual tone multi-frequency, it is called, I guess. And that's what it is used for. So it actually recognizes what you're capturing from the customer, and then, routing your calls to the agents or the teams accordingly.
Oh, so that's
So
cool. So
yeah,
it uses
uh,
the different tones of the numbers to
yes,
determine which one you're pushing. Oh, okay, that's cool. Kind of
that's right.
makes sense, but it's always good to be told. And on the automation side, because you mentioned that this is also scalable down to the smallest of businesses, does that mean that there's pre-canned contact centers with like established flows already that someone can use as a template?
That is right. And that's what we'll cover as well, right? So we
Oh, yeah.
want some inputs from the customers, and or what the customer wants, and we'll put them in the template. And depending on the customer's input, it will scale up or create the resources up and down. And that's the beauty of this framework.
Nice.
Sweet. Let's move on. So now in this slide, we'll cover about an analogy, which is really, really interesting, and it will make much more sense now if we, you know, um, uncover this part. So recently, my wife got a new iPhone, and pretty much when I was unboxing her iPhone, she swapped, by the way, her iPhone with me, and she got the new one. So I've got this beautiful red color iPhone now. So that's how the
Nice.
life is.
It
So
grows faster, man.
goes with the color as well, right?
Hmm.
So when I was unboxing this iPhone, and this is the picture of an iPhone screen. So you can see you've got the charger and whatnot, right? So when you unbox an iPhone, you set up few of the things. You set up the language, country, your Apple ID, and Apple Pay, and these are the basic parameters you put in, for your iPhone to get started and up and running. And these are your parameters which you put in the iPhone. So let's say as an example, what you get out of it are these features. So you get the security, obviously by default of the data logs and passcodes, what you set up to and stuff like that. You get battery alerts. You don't have to set up that. Okay, if my battery is less than 20%, you just alert me or whatnot. Um, you get auto backups via iCloud or whatever the backup systems you have. You get the metadata of the each image you capture of from your iPhone. Plus, you get the security updates or system updates automatically. You don't have to ask for it, right? So these are your out of the box features that actually come out when you get the iPhone. So you're not configuring it, but your focus is actually setting up your wallpaper, setting up your screensaver, setting up your memories, and your focus is actually your customer experience, right? And that's the beauty part of it. And well, I was checking this, and this is the same way. What we'll talk about in the Connect Symphony is what we are going to provide is the customer's name, let's say in the parameters, billing ID of the customers or the name of the customer's instance of the Amazon Connect, some quota values, what quota they want for their contact centers, storage names, and some lifecycle rules or how they want to manage their data accordingly, right? And once you provide that, what you get out of into the CloudFormation stack, obviously, what you get out of it is your Amazon Connect contact center pre-configured with all those settings. So you don't have to tweak each and every one of them because there are some moving resources apart from Amazon Connect as well, right? As we discussed. So that's the beauty of Connect Symphony, what we'll uncover shortly.
I'm just gonna like extend the iPhone analogy even further. Is there like a concept of like an app store, so add-ons you can
Oh,
put onto
100%.
the?
And that's a good point, right? So this is kind of a base of your stack, and this is kind of a standard thing, and that makes lives much easier because now if customer in future wants, hey, I want a voice ID or voice biometrics on the top of it, well, you have got the standard good way of configuring contact center, but on the top of it, this is your module of voice biometrics, or this is your module of customer profiles. So it's like a store you can keep on adding to that standard template, and you can customize it as much as you want. So
Nice.
yeah, um, let's move ahead. So yeah, so to my point, the focus, as I said again, our engineers or our deployers who are deploying the Amazon Connect Contact Center, the focus is actually on enhancing the customer's experience or the flow of the, how the caller will feel when they are reaching the agent. So the entire contact flow within the Amazon Connect space itself. Um, let's cover some benefits of infrastructure as a code cloud formation, which we're using here. The one of the greatest benefit we are having here is rapidly we are creating the resources, and if you want to roll over or at the time of the churning or termination, and clearly one click they're all created, all gone. We wanted something to be managed properly via change management, maybe update stack or replace stack or something that we wanted in a single pane, and that's where we are using this. We wanted visibility and auditability of what resources are getting created and what are the events shown. So as we know, so in the cloud formation, we can see in the events tab what the resources are created, and if there's any error, what is the failure, what is going on behind the scenes, right? We wanted a rapid rollback manner. So definitely that's one of the case with the CloudFormation. We want some drift detection. So for drift detection, we wanted to understand, okay, at the time of deployment, we had this stack, and is that being drifted or is that being changed over the time, by some changes, and we wanted to get an idea about that as well. So that has given us a lot of benefit. And finally, um, cookie cutter approach. So as I said, we wanted kind of the template should fit small, medium, large thing. We don't want to go ahead back to the drawing board and design again the entire thing. That will be one hell of a nightmare. So that's the reason we wanted something as a cookie cutter approach. So yeah, these were the
Oh,
benefits.
yeah, and that's very common in a lot of like SaaS-based solutions where they have their target
That's right.
demographic, and quite often they also just say, no, we're just focused on enterprise completely, and we're not really
Yeah.
too worried about the rest of the the market. But otherwise, like, even if they are interested in like the full SMB all the way through to enterprise, they will quite often will make everything for enterprise and then essentially either remove it behind like either plans or the feature flags, etc., etc. But it will
Oh,
still
100%.
ultimately work for the smaller customer.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point, right, Casey? Because I was speaking with one of the architects at AWS in New Zealand, and it was like it's high time now we are treating Amazon Connect as well as a SaaS offering. We are treating it as an application, so it's easier to manage that way rather than manual deployments and all those moving parts ahead. That'll be much easier that way. So
Mm,
yeah, that's what we are talking about today. So
awesome.
um, sweet. So here's your blueprint of the entire Amazon Connect Symphony, which is so it. What are the benefits of it? So and what is Amazon Connect Symphony, right? So it streamlines your Amazon Connect contact center deployments out of the box in just 3 to 4 minutes. So your entire functional contact center with the resources around it is being deployed within 3 to 4 minutes. And that's the beauty of it. Previously, the deployments we used to do was about 20, 25 hours with manual clicks and, as you said, click ops and all those manual interventions and stuff like that. So it has given a lot of time saving for us, extreme time savings. Plus, on the top of it, it is adhering to all the 6 pillars of AWS framework. Um, Plus, including it is having your best security standards around foundational security best practices, AWS FSPP, CISN, NZISM compliance back. As you know, it's big, the last part, NZISM. Um, we are really regularly using it because of our large or corporate or our government customers. They really are after that. So wanted to make sure how we can also make sure that the deployments are aligned with those packages. Um, as I said earlier, we are leveraging CloudFormation, microservices, some serverless even driven architectures in this framework, and this is how our Amazon Connect deployments are being done by the Connect Symphony framework. Last part is the contact center. As I said, it's pre-configured, and what it is pre-configured is just an overview of it is having the data lifecycle rules. So your data lifecycle management, the call recordings, your reports, and all those data stored in S3 is being managed properly via lifecycle. They're encrypted properly. There is tagging enabled on them by default, so you don't have to manually tag them anymore. Um, we have some obviously role-based policies, automations, and alerts in place. So that's the beauty of this entire framework, and we'll go through some demos as well in the next slide. Okay, so let's head to our demo. I'll quickly stop the screen share.
While you're doing that, I'd be interested because obviously you've leveraged CloudFormation a lot here. What is your thoughts behind CloudFormation versus something like CDK or Terraform?
That's a good thought, and that's what the next step is. So we are probably now going through the CDK because that's been advised to us as well. I'm just, to be honest, I've not worked with CDK a lot right now, so I'm just trying to uncover the benefits of it. I think so. There'll be good kind of exposure, and also what I can think of is instead of writing thousands of lines of your CloudFormation stack codes and stuff like that, it'll be much better to do it via CDK in the future as well. Um, but yeah, good to understand that. What your thoughts on that from your
Yeah.
experience as well?
Yeah, while you go about sharing the screen. So in my thoughts is CloudFormation, it's a very verbose language, what generally comes with the difficulty of maintenance.
Yeah,
Then you go into CDK, which is more of an opinionated infrastructure as code solution, but it does have a very powerful mechanism behind it that allows you to, especially in like C# and stuff like that, you can actually build out your like CloudFormation or CDK stack dynamically through reflection and or dependency injection, and you might even decide to not go that gold plated and actually just do a fluent interface, and that means that
yep,
you can create common configurable like patterns that you can give to your engineers, like especially if you have a like an environment where you need to have a lot of like conformance to legislator or some type of compliance or governance in there. Um, so you can have that team create those interface influence stuff and then pass it over to the development team to actually like implement. And then you got
yep,
Terraform, which because Terraform can, and also Pulumi, I should also mention them, they quite often will build out the stacks through their own proprietary like methodology, and they will go through the APIs. So they tend to
Yep.
be allow access to much newer services much quicker because most of our services will launch with APIs first, but that might
Mm.
not necessarily be bound to CloudFormation. So like that, those are
Mm.
the type of pros and cons, and I don't really think there's a right or wrong answer to any of
That
them.
is right. Yep.
So like it just comes down to what are your needs, what are you looking for, and what is your ability to like yeah, what
The
do your
use
requirements
cases.
need?
Yep.
Yeah, use cases.
Yeah, exactly.
Ex
Yep.
I generally wouldn't recommend doing just straight cloud formation for most things, just because it does get a bit unruly.
100%. And that's the reason I was like, okay, how can we reform it? And instead of using CloudFormation, let's go to CDK, and that's the next step. Um, let's see. Hopefully, 2 months down the line, we'll talk about that as well.
Oh, nice.
Sweet. So you can see the screen,
Oh,
I
I need to
guess.
add I need to add your screen to the show.
Oh, yep.
And there you go.
Okay, give me 1 second. Perfect. Sweet. So as you can see, there's a stack deployed here. Let's talk about the parameters firstly, right? So it's talking about here. So if you see here, this is what I was talking about, right? The bucket name, let's say access log buckets name. So we have a hypothetical company called as AM Insurance, right? And we have a bucket name here. We have provided some bucket name. We have provided some concurrent calls or the quota values. For instance, we have provided some resources bucket where your resources will be stored, such as users or queues or routing profiles and whatnot, right? We have your instance alias, that is their name, your type of the instance, that is sample, your CDR stream name, your master stack name, phone numbers, and finally, these three. This is your transition in days. So the first transition day. So how and when do you want the data to be transitioned from one storage tier to other storage tier and so on and so forth. Um, so we have provided some parameters over here, and now what we get out of it, let's go and check that. So firstly, let's see the nested stacks. So this is your master stack, which we saw. In this nested stack, as you can see the name, it's creating some contact flows in your Amazon Connect um, instance. The second thing it is doing is it is creating some resources. Another nested stack is created for some automations to be done in your Amazon Connect resources, and we'll cover all of these shortly. Third thing, it is creating your CloudWatch dashboards for the contact center to be monitored. And finally, we wanted a mechanism where our engineers, let's say, should know what are the ARNs of these resources which are getting deployed in the customer's account. They should also know that, and there should be a kind of an Excel sheet or a spreadsheet or something like that they can actually go through and find out what are the ARNs or what are the resources getting deployed, just for troubleshooting purposes in the future as well. So it is this last stack is downloading all those resources into the Excel sheet and finally into your S3 bucket for the engineers to have a look. Um, let's
I have
now.
I do
Sorry.
have a one quick question for you because I see that you have used nested stacks. Um, can you give a like just your thought process on when and where you'd use nested stacks and why you've used nested stacks in this case?
Okay, so um, interesting question. So what we have done is, obviously, as I said, there was thousands and thousands of lines of codes. Firstly, to it was just beyond hard to manage that one stack itself. That's the first thing. Second thing was, well, think this way, right? So we have a contact flow stack here, this one. Um, what happens is we are managing this contact flow stack every now and then because that contact flow stack is having contact flows in them, and every now and then our flows are changing our contact flows are changing. So we wanted to manage it separately and easily, right? So we have nested it into so that if you want to manage it or deploy it or test it separately, we can do that this way. Um, Third thing was we wanted some resources when we are deploying. So for example, nested stack connect resources. If we are deploying these resources into Amazon Connect, we wanted, again, the same thing. We wanted these resources to be standalone or not impacting the entire master stack. That's the reason we are using that. Yeah, those were the major concerns we were having. Sweet. So let's go ahead and check our resources.
Or at least
So
check the connect instance.
let's, hey,
I say at least check the connect instance at the very least.
that's right. So we'll just go with so as you can see here, so this is your Amazon Connect instance that has been deployed. Just quickly check what
I think
resources are being
its
deployed here.
screen's frozen.
Uh, One second.
You might want to reshare your
Stop
screen if you don't
this.
mind. Yeah.
Yep.
Which is a bit of a shame, but technical difficulties do happen midstream. I'll use this to actually say to our viewers that if you do want to ask it a question, like it doesn't have to be about something that can be just about Connect in general, or just about anything that you want to go down a little bit of a tangent. I'm more than happy to facilitate that. As I said, this is quite an intimate stream right now, so you know, don't be shy, especially when we're
Okay.
showing how human we are. We're having technical difficulties.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yes, now we can see what you're talking about, which is a great thing.
Yay. Okay. So as I said, so we are in the Amazon Connect Contact Center. Um, this is your instance. That's your AM insurance. Um, that's Anshul Marva, just put it that name, initials AM. And then you have got your, let's go and check what is being created till now. So we have created a few of the flows, as you can see. This is your customer journey or your flows by default created into your contact center. That's one of the things. We have got some phone number created or claimed for your contact center, which phone number that you can use for testing or whatever you wish to test it for. Let's check the data storage. As you can see, so there will be a bucket getting created. The bucket is created and it has added them as a storage config here for chat transcripts and the call recordings as well. Your streams are getting created and also getting added to your instance config right there. What else? What else? Let's go and check your S3 bucket. So there are a few other things that I'll be just sharing through as it tries to load.
You can do it. Go internet.
Man. So let's go and check our master bucket. So this is your master bucket. And this is the resource I was talking about where, it downloads all the ARNs of the resources. And, I'll just quickly see if I can download this one. Hopefully it opens up.
It'll open in another screen as well, which is
Yep,
it's just going to be an Excel
yep,
spreadsheet of all
yep.
the ARNs, so we
Just
probably
going to,
don't need to go into it, to be honest. We might as well
that's it.
kick on.
So there'll be just ARNs and stuff like that. Um, Sweet. So we'll just check this one. In regards with the properties, as you can see here, the bucket versioning is enabled on them. And the second thing is, we'll just go into the permissions. So we have, as you can see, the block all public access is on. So that's okay. We'll just go into management. And here you can see there is a lifecycle rule pre-configured from the parameters we gave into the stack. So for example, if it is an insurance company, let's say hypothetically, you'd like to move, the data after 365 days into the standard infrequent access and then glacier and then retire after or expire after 7 years just for compliance purposes and whatnot. So we have some data lifecycle management rules pre-configured there from the customer's input, what customer has provided, right? That's your S3. Um, let's check CloudWatch. We'll just go and check the CloudWatch dashboards. What
This is where
what
we needed
metrics and
the.
what.
This is where we need the magic of TV. Here's one I prepared earlier.
This one.
Like you don't realize how slow internet and stuff is until like you're doing it live and you're like, come on.
That's right, and the demo and stuff, right?
Mm.
And so as you can see, obviously there's no parameters right now because it's not a live thing that we are working on. But you can see this dashboard is created out of the box as well. So it is monitoring your concurrent calls, percentage concurrent calls, throttle calls, contact flow errors, your wait time, packet losses, contact flow fatal errors, and all those. So it's basically monitoring your entire contact center on the CloudWatch dashboard out of the box as well. So you don't have to configure this again after setting up the your Amazon Connect contact center as well. So yeah, these are the few things that I wanted to showcase here. There are multiple things on the resources that are created, but we're running short of time. So just go into now
Yeah, the
our
second demo is the
presentation
more
platform.
interesting one anyway.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll just go share screen. Mm,
Let's see if this one works.
There you go. Okay. So just go back to the presentation. Okay. And it's so much hard to juggle between the screens sometimes, just
Yeah, we interesting enough, people on like Macs tend to have a much better time with this because you have the ability to go up and down desktops. Windows has it as well, but I find that Windows you don't tend to use that feature that often, and
Yep.
most people in Windows probably don't even know that they do have multiple desktops.
Yeah. I mean, and plus, to figure out which screen are we focusing on. So that's okay. Share screen. There we go. This one. There you go. So let's move on.
There we go. It's
Now,
powerful it is.
so let's see what resources. So long story short, what resources are getting created with all these stacks and nested stacks, right? So this is your account. We saw Amazon Connect resource has been created or contact center has been created. Your S3 bucket is being created where the data is being stored, and then this bucket is added as a storage config into your Amazon Connect contact center. With the path, obviously, your Kinesis data streams for streaming your CTR events and the agent events and all those things via the streams is getting created with the proper encryption in the data on the retention period as well on the streams, and then added that stream to your Amazon Connect contact center. Your Kinesis data firehouse. Now, there's a major reason behind this. So what happens is, by default, Amazon Connect contact center, all your what to say, your events or all your let's think this way, your reporting data and stuff like that is you can only see that up to a maximum period of 2 years, past 2 years, right? Anything more than that will not be there because it's not retained by AWS, right? So we want to store this all data via Kinesis Data Firehose into an S3 bucket, or you know wherever we want to. So that's the reason we are using that Kinesis Data Firehose there. We are claiming a DID number, I mean a phone number, as we saw in the Connect Contact Center. We are creating a CLI user. Basically, this user, for the people who are deploying Amazon Connect Contact Centers, you'll know that we have to have a user for your SAML, SAML contact centers for your identity provider integration with whoever your identity provider is. So we are creating the user and also attaching the policies required for that integration bit. And then that user secrets key and the access key ID is stored into the secrets manager. Previously, we were storing it in a very generic manner, maybe in some OneNote not shared folder, some private place or something like that. But we were like, okay, how can we secure it more precisely? And well, we are using secrets manager. We are using some customer managed keys, some KMS keys, for encrypting the data and encrypting the streams, with some obviously auto rotation enabled on them as a best practice. We are using some Lambda functions, and we'll go further down in what these Lambda function use cases are, right? We are using personal health dashboard for checking your events or your personal health events of the customer's account and sending them to their email addresses. We are using obviously IAM rules and policies for all these services that are getting created. Now this is an interesting one. So we are raising the support cases via the Lambda functions automation. And so what it does is, so support cases is we are using the service quota increased, or for example, customer wants 10 or 12 calls per instance, 50 calls per instance, or whatever it is. They put in the parameters, and these cases are raised via service quotas automatically, so you don't have to manually do that as well. Obviously, we are using some tagging, as I said earlier, and then finally some nested stacks, which we saw. CloudWatch dashboard is getting created, contact flows are being created and into the contact center that we just saw. Step functions, and this is the next part we'll go through, how we are automation of creation of resources such as users and queues and routing profiles and whatnot. And finally, the Excel worksheet pretty much for our engineers to troubleshoot on. So that's your resources getting created. Um, Now let's talk about Lambda. Lambda is really the magician. It's having more than 8 tentacles, more than Octopus has, because it's just crazy. We can do a lot of possibilities are there with Lambda for sure. And I really like that part. So we are using Lambda for auto-enabling our S3 versioning on new buckets getting created. So for example, new bucket gets created, and the versioning will automatically enable on that bucket. We want some tagging, auto tagging to be done as well. So that's the reason we are using Lambda for that. We wanted the buckets, sorry, to have to deny all the non-HTTPS requests. So only HTTPS requests are allowed through S3 bucket. We are attaching the policy via the Lambda on that. We're creating the CloudWatch dashboard, as you saw. We are using some data collection and manipulation events with the use case of Lambda. For example, if we want to convert a number, or so a caller calls in, enters the number for a callback, using E.164 format, it is stored, but we want to read it back to the customer into a format of 0 to 1, 0 to 4, whatever it is. So we're using Lambda for that. Create users, CLI users, we just saw, we are using Lambda for that. And finally, which we'll talk about in the next slide, is creating the queues, routing profiles, hours of operations, and all those things. We are using Lambda for that as well. Now, this example is talking about your decreased time and efforts. And this is really interesting because, for example, there's an AM insurance broker customer who is having 12 queues, 5 routing profiles, 5 business hours of operations, 20 agents, let's say. We are creating some custom security profiles as per the customer's requirement. And then the final bit is to add the quick connects. And for the people who have worked in the Amazon Connect space, it's so much manual that you have to add the quick connects and then associate those quick connects to the queues And the quick connects are pretty much just a high level view. Is you want to transfer a call from one agent to another, you need to show that into the drop down that okay, I want to transfer it to from A to B or whatever. So those are your quick connects, and that's a very manual process. And just for this might be a small to medium-ish contact center. We are talking about 2 hours ish roughly. That is about 7,800 seconds of time required of manual work, just
We all
straight, right?
measure time. We all measure time in seconds.
It is. It is right. and and that's without any error or without any human error kind of thing in middle. So it's just straight you back to back. So that's some time there. Now think about this. What we have done is this is a process flow or architecture flow of serverless workflow and event-driven orchestration. So what we are doing is we are getting the input from the customer in a very simple format, which is Excel worksheets. Let's think of this way. So we wanted something to make very simple for customers and clean as well to make them understand, right? So they fill up the Excel spreadsheet, and once they fill up the spreadsheet, they give that spreadsheet to we collect it via our consultants or deployers, whoever it is. They give that spreadsheet. The account admin of AWS uploads that to the S3 bucket. The step function gets triggered, and once it is triggered, it will trigger the Lambda functions, and the Lambda function will create the resources into Amazon Connect Contact Center. Once it is done, it will send an email out to a deployer that okay, well, this has been completed. So, or there's an error or whatever it is. So that's a overview of the architecture here. Um, let's check and now as I said, so previously we saw what the time taken was about 7,800 seconds. This entire process is in 60 seconds, right? Which is a extreme amount of time saving. That's a huge time savings. And this is just for small contact center, medium contact center. We had a recent deployment of about 1,800 seats contact center, right? Or 2,000 seats contact center. Think about the time saving there. Think about the not to do this manually. That's a huge benefit for
I
us as
think
well as
think
a
about someone's
business.
sanity more than anything else. Sitting down and spending your whole entire week creating a content center.
That is right. That's right. And that's where digital and we are scaling and rapidly going to the market because of this kind of framework that we don't have to go through that long, boring manual process again and again, and just saves a lot of time and labor. And the percentage of time saved is obviously, and this is 98.95% time saved. And just imagine what you can do with that time to drive some other innovations or also do some other things better. So
You missed your calling and marketing. You should have actually made it 99%. Just round
right,
up. It's all
around up.
good.
Yeah, that's right. We like to be precise, right?
Mm.
Okay, let's talk about the next slide. That is our demo. So again, I'll just try to give me some time to
Just
quickly
power through this transition.
pass this.
I
Yeah,
believe
this
in you. You've
right.
done this is your fourth time by now, so it should be streamlined. I'm gonna
Should be quick.
quick and easy. You got this.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, here it is. Share screen, tab, Windows, Cloud Formation, Chrome tab, share. Okay, so well, as the architectures, we saw. So we have a S3 file, and this is it's good to understand, but how the can you see the screen?
Yeah, I
No.
can. It's no, it's yeah, it's I think it's frozen again.
Oh God, that's okay.
You're having you're really having technical issues these days, aren't you? Like
Definitely,
this is
man.
the first time
Uh,
I've had anyone had issues with like just the share screen freezing.
is it? Oh
Yep.
man, I should have worked
So
from home today then.
I've done this from like for nearly 2 years now, weekly. So you get that stamp. Let's see if
Is it
this works.
better? Can you see my Excel screen,
Yep.
Excel sheet?
No, I can't see Excel sheet because there's a different window.
Mm, I'm pressing the same one. One second.
Yeah, it doesn't like it. I'll give you another minute, otherwise we can just skip over it.
Sweet.
Oh, there we go. This
Can you
one,
see
this
now?
one's the Excel spreadsheet. Yep.
Perfect. So as you can see here, we are creating the hours of operations here.
Can you zoom in?
Example. Yep. Is it better?
There we go. Yep.
So these are a couple of hours of operations that the business is using. Let's say claims business hours, sales business hours, right? We are having this sheet for queues. So this is a sales queue symbol and claims queue for staff of different departments and support queue. We have the routing profiles. This is your sales routing profile, claims routing profile, and you know what queues are associated with these routing profiles and the outbound queue associated with them. And finally, the users. So we have some sales managers, users, claims manager, and some agents as well. And also, if you can see here, the customer wanted a security profile, which is custom, not the native call center manager profile of Amazon Connect. So this profile is something different. So what we are doing is we are allowing customers to select between agent and call center manager, and they can select according to that, right? Auto accept calls, true, false, after call work, time limit, you know, whatever it is, that the tagging, what they want with the name as well there. So pretty basic, simple, standard spreadsheet, what they can fill in for us. Now let's close this one. Perfect. So now let's check and dive into this automation. Sweet. So what we'll do is we'll go through S3. And what we'll do is, as the architecture speaks, is we are going to upload the file into the S3 bucket. Right? Let's go, and we'll find the file is. So this is your bucket, and we are going to drag and drop the file here. Come on, there you go. Just quickly upload this file there.
There you
Upload
go. It's uploading.
succeeded. Let's add step
So that
functions. Now,
will be triggering an S3 event that will then trigger off this step
that
function.
is right. That is right. So S3 event while lambda function, there's a lambda function which will trigger the step function to run through. That's right. And that's what I'm going to say. Hopefully, come on, it works. Because always, demos, you're always being nervous and, where is that one?
I've had great success with the
Uh,
demos today, so I can't imagine it could get any
is it?
worse. There
See
we go.
this one? It's running. So it's running. Let's fingers crossed how it goes through. We'll just go through. Oh, it's already in. Almost there. Almost there. Come on. Come on, boy. So you can see here, it's creating the hours of it has created the hours of operation, queues, customer routing profiles, call center manager, security profile, users, quick connects, and then finally associated with quick connects and sent an email out to the managed services team or engineers. They would have been spammed. And let's check that and verify this into your Connect contact center. Actually, the biggest tragedy I had was the day before yesterday, my whole computer was wiped off. I don't know. It crashed
Uh,
on me. And I've been
it
struggling
must have just been.
to get my book. Hey,
I was just saying there must have been something that happened yesterday because yesterday my home computer decided to just forget the internet exists. So I had to spend like an hour of my
is that
time fixing that.
is that in the air or something?
Don't know. It must have been like the
Let's
solar flare or something.
Now, if you see here, let's check the users. And if you see, as I was talking about, you can see here, Claims Manager, your users are getting created. The beauty of it, the tags have been created. Your, after call work timeout, your security profiles is there as well. And plus, now if you go into your routing profiles, so you can see here, claims routing profile and sales routing profile, right? And the queues in them, let's check the queues in them. So there you go. So you have got support queue, claims queue. Now this queue is a very interesting one. So we wanted a central place to have all the quick connects added rather than adding all the quick connects to each queue, right? So what we are doing now is we are creating a single queue automatically from the Lambda logic and then storing all the quick connects into the simple single queue. And this single queue is added by default in all the routing profiles, right? So now the beauty of it, the contact center agents can transfer the calls to other departments unless specifically asked by the customer not to do so. That's another story. But that's a lot of time saving because if you know the quick connects, you have to first add them and then add those quick connects to all the queues as well, which is really a pain. Um, and if you look at the queues here, and we'll specifically look at the contact list queue. This is our contact list. You will see over here, here, claims manager, Nick Young, Deborah, sales manager, Reed. So all the users have been added as well, and the quick connects in that specific queue as well, right? Um, your hours of operations is the final one that is remaining, I guess. Your hour of operations have been created, claims business hours and sales business hours as well. Um, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever the time frame we had in that Excel spreadsheet is there as well. And yeah, that's quick connects. I think so. We already covered that, but
Cool.
we'll just see if the quick connects have been added.
We are running out of time,
Oh,
Angel. So
yep.
if you want
Oh,
to
it's
carry off the last of the slides, and then this is the last chance for your viewer to ask any question that you want around either
that
Connect
is
or anything that Angel was talking about while he frantically tries to switch back to his presentation.
sweet. I'll share the last bit here, guys. Share screen. Demo part 2 is done.
My cat has been clawing at my door for like the last, I swear, 20 minutes. Like,
Oh, is it?
you'd think that she'd get bored, but because she can hear me, she's just like, nah, I need to get in no matter what. And I just hear this.
No matter what happens.
Oh, nothing. I'll just go out and pet her and give her some treats after the show. But
Yep.
uh, she hears me talking, so even
Sweet.
even in meetings, so like
Yep.
if I'm talking, then she'll come in and make sure she greets everyone.
At least, she likes to love, man. Come on, you can just.
Now she likes to like make my life hard because obviously how she greets everyone is by walking on top of my laptop and pressing a whole bunch of random keys. I can't see anything.
Oh, nice. Sweet. We'll just quickly run through power of intrinsic functions. As we all know, well, they are the built-in functions that you can assign the values at the runtime. That's really helpful. You're using them to substitute, and we are using them to substitute and manipulate the resource properties, and getting some information out, such as ARNs or um, reference it to substitute maybe ARNs or something like that. We are so basically it's allowing you to dynamically configure your CloudFormation templates, right? Let's see an example of it. So you have a substitute intrinsic function. So as you can see in the screen, we are substituting the value of what is being provided by the customer for the concurrent calls. For instance, let's say the value is being substituted here as well. The second one, we are using getAt function to get the attribute or the ARN of the Lambda function and of the role and use it in that Lambda function here. The third part is really interesting. What we are doing is we are getting the instance ID via 3 intrinsic functions. We are firstly referencing it to an ARN, sorry, splitting it via delimiter, that is the forward slash, and then finally selecting the first bit of that to get the instance ID. So you can see the instance ID we get out of it is showing at the last part. Uh, this is really important from the security score standpoint. You can see on the left-hand side, you have account A, which is a standard manual old school deployment of Amazon Connect in the security score of your context, the AWS account, if you're having multiple resources, is around 75, around 80%. But when you're using Connect Symphony with Digital Island, it's above or between 90 to 95%, which we have a constant record of that as well, which is really, really high. Now, I know some people might nag about really, well, where's the remaining 5 or 7% and stuff. And that's a work in progress as well, right? Always. And that's what we are working on as well. So conclusion, finally, we made it. We made it. Oh, we just do 2 minutes over. Sorry. So Connect Symphony framework pretty much transforms your connect context center deployment out of the box features, some pre-configured things in there. It uses the CloudFormation microservices and serverless architectures. Rapid deployment, obviously we saw. Security standards are top notch. We saw that as well. Some automations with minimal manual configuration. So that's really, really win for us at Digital Island. Scalability, regardless whether you have small or big context center number of users, still scalable. Simple. So yeah, thank you for that, Casey and audience. Just in case if you have any further inquiries, you can scan the QR code that will take you to Digital Island landing page, or you can contact me as well on LinkedIn.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you very much for joining us, Anshul, and sharing your knowledge. Just for everyone that watches this, maybe in VOD or who are still with us, then our last stream for From the Field is the end of November, so the 30th of November, or actually it'll be, if you're in America, it'll be one day earlier, so it'll be the 29th of November. And next year, we are going to be changing the format of the show. And next week's show, we're going to have a pulse survey where we can going to be asking for your feedback, so we can actually improve the show next year in the long run. It won't just be me as a host next year. There's 3 other new hosts that will all be brought on the 30th to meet everyone. So we look forward to that. And again, thank you everyone, and we'll see you next time. And once again, thanks you, Anshul.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, AWS team. Thank you, audience. Cheers. Have a great
See ya.
day. Bye.
Matiwa.